habitations of Jacob. Corruption will make God not to pity his own people. Corruption. Corruption will make God to throw down the strongholds of the daughters of Judah. Corruption will make God to bring the daughters of Judah down. Corruption will make God to pollute the kingdom that he has chosen for himself and the princes thereof. Corruption will make God to cut off in his fierce anger all the horn of Israel. Corruption will make God to draw back his right hand from before the enemies of his people. Corruption will make God to kindle the flaming fire that will burn and devour those who he's supposed to protect. Corruption will make God to bend his bow like an enemy against his children. Corruption will make God to stretch his right hand as an adversary to the nation, to the church of his. Corruption will make God to slay all that's supposed to be pleasant to the eyes in the tabernacle of the daughters of Zion. Corruption will make God to pour out his fury like fire. All this you can find in Lamentation chapter 2 verse 1 to 4. Corruption will make God to disinherit all that's supposed to be his own. Corruption will make God to destroy the wall of protection from the daughters of Zion. Corruption will make God to cast off what's supposed to be his altar. Corruption will make God to abhor his sanctuary. Corruption will make the gates of the sanctuary to lie flat on the ground for easy access to the enemies of the sanctuary. Corruption will destroy and break into pieces the bars of protection that's supposed to shield his people from being destroyed. Corruption will take a prophet. Corruption will stop a prophet from from having access to see vision from God. Corruption will take away from the people of God the law of God. Corruption is evil and must be rejected by all who call upon the name of the Lord. These are the pictures and what Israel suffered because they refused to pay attention to the warnings, the prophets that God sent, rising up early in the morning and warning them. Jeremiah lamented and says, for this number of years, God has sent me to you, and I was faithful. I rise up early, warning you for this number of years, and you have refused. And behold, this judgment has come upon you. You shall be carried to the hidden nation for 40 years and 70 years, and you shall serve the king of Babylon. Holiness that the earth are trampled under feet has been resuscitated and handed over to us. There is every possibility of corruption stealing in without we knowing at the moment of carelessness. God does not have a favorite. He is with you while you are with him. The moment you involve yourself with corruption, you will be shocked and surprised. And the nations of the earth will be shocked and surprised of the calamity and danger and judgment that God will bring your way. You see how he's fighting, defending us, doing everything to make sure we are protected. He can destroy the entire earth for our protection. The same way he can destroy us in a moment. The moment we allow corruption to be found in our midst. Let all kingdom citizens take heed. God is a consuming fire. God is a jealous God. When it comes to holiness, you will see the jealous of God burning like fire. Any man who dares to trample on this holiness that takes God so much the resource. God told me sometime ago, he says, do you think I'm happy seeing all this multitude dying that we are slaughtering in this church? But for the sake of holiness, it must go that way. Think what will happen to anyone in this kingdom that will trample on holiness. The blood of all those men will be required on his head. How serious it is. They were all slaughtered for the sake of holiness, to recover and to protect holiness. They were all slaughtered because they said it is impossible. They were all slaughtered because they made God a liar, that it is not possible for man to be perfect on earth. They were all slaughtered because they prove that Matthew chapter 5 verse 48 can never be possible on earth. And God has proved them wrong with us in this kingdom. That's why God will frown at whosoever that want to. You saw what happened, the war we fought here on Tuesday, and you saw the way he came. Why was he chained down and he's going to remain there for 6 months? Because he want to prove the words, the promises, the prophecies we brought upon you during 21 days. He want to mess them up that they will not work. And tell me how he's going to survive after these 6 months of heaven's imprisonment. When you see things like this, become more careful to yourself, knowing that the God we serve is a respecter of no man. Brothers and sisters, let all of us see corruption the way it is. Don't ever paint it with another color. Don't ever call corruption another name. Call corruption by its name. Corruption will lose its grip over you. The moment you call corruption by another name, that's when corruption will damn your soul. Look at the youths that call fornication get together. Look at how destruction goes after them. Look at the parents that stand against the church to challenge the church. Leave them, they are youth. How will they get married? How those parents will cry all through their life on earth because of the heartache that those children will give them after what they call marriage. Call corruption by its name. Nigeria gets into danger when we started calling corruption from 1985 in this country. When we started to call corruption 10%. We call it 10% so that it will not look as if it is corruption. Look at where it has landed us. I listened to a minister recently and he said something that shocked me. That 80% of the oil Nigeria produces is being stolen by thieves. Who are those thieves? Who are those thieves? Where is our navy? Where are they? Who are those thieves? And it was government agency that brought these reports outside. Which country were those oils being sold? Our oil is being known at the international market. But corruption will not allow us to do what we are supposed to do in order to protect ourselves as a country. Why didn't Russia oil be sold in Nigeria? Why didn't US oil be sold in Nigeria? The ones being stolen. Why didn't Saudi oil be sold in Nigeria? The one that is being stolen. Who will maneuver the navies on the high sea without express instruction? For the power from above, who will maneuver them? Corruption has turned supposed great churches on earth to acre bogs. And now that the favor of God is with kingdom power, now that the smile of God is with kingdom power, now that the presence of God is with kingdom power, we must all be careful so that we will not go the way of others. Very important. Very important. Those of us who by the grace of God are in holiness now must dread corruption.